those of us in this House, and in fact that's all of us predominantly, who promised to honour the vote of the referendum back in 2016 and went on to stand in our respective manifestos and seeking to honour that result, voted to then trigger Article 50 and voted to leave the EU on the 29th of March this year. We must ask ourselves now, how does it look to the 17.4 million people who voted to leave, and of course those who voted to remain, when it comes to respecting the result of the referendum, through not just the debates that we're having in this House, but of course the way in which the negotiations have been taken place and how they've been handled. Now, it is inevitable that I'm going to say that those negotiations have not been handled in the most structured way. The government has missed opportunities to change its approach, and of course it's fair to say, Mr. Speaker, the warning signs have been there for a considerable amount of time through the proposals that became the Chequers Agreement and then the withdrawal agreement, which in my view were not right for this country. But the point is, we know the deal as it stands now is not acceptable to many, and of course there is more work to do. And of course the right response would be for the government to carry on to listen and pursue a better deal. And at the same time, we're now hearing much more about this whole push advocating for a second referendum, which in my view, Mr. Speaker, would seek to deny the British public the rights and freedoms that they voted for back in 2016. And also when it comes to voting for delay without even specifying what would be achieved through this delay is not the right approach at all. And it does sadden me that we are now in that particular position. But the fact is, the Prime Minister undertook to go back to Brussels to reopen the withdrawal agreement, and of course on the 29th of January this House did vote and show what sort of deal can command the majority of the House of Commons. No deal is not the outcome that we are all aiming for, and we want a deal that can actually speak to the challenges that are associated with the backstop. All the other choices that we could end up going back on the verdict of the British public, backtrack on our promises, undermine democracy, the various arguments have been made in terms of letting down our country, and what we will end up doing is obviously there'll be irretrievable ramifications